¡Zurdos, hijos de p***! ¡Tiemblen! ¡La libertad avanza! ¡Viva la libertad, carajo! ¡Vamos!
All right. This is a new guy running things down in Argentina. Javier Milei. I don't know how to say his name. Whatever. I'm not from Argentina. Everyone's all hot and bothered by this guy today. Let's see if all that's warranted. Joining me now, Carol Roth, author of the book You Will Own Nothing. Find out about these dirty NWO scum and what they're doing to this country. I should note that that book is still sitting on my 15-year-old son's night table. That's how much he even enjoys it. Carol, all right, who is this guy? Why should I give a crap?
I mean, don't you love having a guy that comes out and is sweating and is all excited and is hitting a piñata of the central bank? Isn't that who everybody wants to lead their country? Cult of personality, we're angry, things aren't going well. We need to shake things up. And this guy, if nothing else, is going to try to shake things up. I don't know how much you know about Argentinian economics, Jesse. Everybody has become a huge expert in the last, 12 to 24 hours. But, this is a country that is very unusual. In fact, a famous economist once said there are 4 types of economies in the world. There are the developed countries, there are the emerging markets, there's Japan, and there's Argentina. So it's been kind of this weird microcosm. They were really rich in the early 1900s, but cronyism, welfare states, wars, all kinds of issues have just put them in this constant cycle of poverty. And, they went from sort of the 10th wealthiest country in the world to like number 62. And it's like Groundhog's Day. They just keep having the same crisis over and over because the government keeps overspending. So finally, you've got a situation where they have not quite hyperinflation. It's called galloping inflation, about 120+% a year. They have about 40% of their, 40% of their country is living in poverty. And when I say poverty, I'm talking real, like cannot feed your kids the next day, not I have an iPhone and designer clothes kind of poverty. So this got to the breaking point where they said we needed to have a new leader. And so you have this guy who wants to get rid of the central bank. He wants to actually dollarize, meaning get rid of their currency and peg it to the dollar, which, we're all mad at the Fed. Things are so bad there that they actually want the Fed to mandate their policy, balance the budget, go back to lots of free market principles, which sounds great in theory, is certainly the change that they need, but it is going to be a tough road for Mr. Milei.
Okay, it's a tough road. Let's talk about that, Carol. This sounds like a country that's been rotting from the inside for quite some time. I'm hoping for them, right? I'm hopeful, right. But can one man really come in and turn this thing around? I want to believe that can be the case, but historically, they normally just kill guys like this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm on the side of skepticism and realism. It's certainly the charge that they need. But, this is a country that's been bailed out by the IMF almost 24 times, and they have never been able to make the changes they need in terms of, getting their budgets back on track and stopping with their money printing. And the way that Argentina, from what I understand, is set up is that the regions, which are kind of like our states, have a lot of power, make a lot of decisions. So I don't know if he at the federal level will be able to do all the things that he campaigned on and wanted to do and overcome the corruption and overcome, this crazy history. But it is a parallel, right? I mean, we know another country that is overspending and damaging the currency and, rotting, as you said, from the inside. And eventually you get to a breaking point where people say enough is enough. They certainly have done that in Argentina. So we'll see if that's a lesson for anywhere else in the world, wherever that might be, Jesse.
Wherever that might be. Speak of the devil, Janet Yellen went on TV, had this to say, Carol.
Prices in general are rising much less quickly. Americans still see increases in some important prices, including food, from where we were prior to the pandemic. And this remains notable to people who go to the store and shop, or rents, although they're rising less quickly now, are certainly higher than they were before the pandemic. So I do think we're making considerable progress in bringing inflation down, but Americans do notice higher prices from what they used to be accustomed to.
Carol, are we making significant progress? It doesn't feel like it when I get groceries.
Derp, they're noticing that prices are significantly higher than they used to be. I mean, this is the head of the Treasury. This used to be the head of the Fed. This is a woman in the interim who made $7+ million in giving speeches on the economy. Let me give you my best analogy here, Jesse. Basically, let's say you had a constant weight. You were able to hold your weight constant for some period of time, and then 1 year you gained 10 pounds. Well, the doctor says you got to do something about this. So the next year you gain 3.5 pounds. The doctor doesn't go, oh, look, the rate that you were gaining weight has slowed. Good job. He goes, no, you're up 13.5 pounds. You can't fit in your pants. You're a fatso. Stop it. That's what she's excited about. She's excited that now you're only gaining 3.5 pounds, except that it's not your weight, it's your wallet. And instead of getting fatter, it is getting slimmer. These ridiculous elitist economists, they want to pat themselves on the back because they have slowed inflation. But what Americans care about is how much they have to pay. And it is now up double digits from the time that Joe Biden took office, and that this devil, as you said, made her way into the Treasury. And there is no real plan to change that scenario so that people feel like their financial foundation is on better footing.
Oh, I think they do have a plan, Carol. I'm going to push back on that. I think their plan is to bloodsuck the American people for every dime they have. And I think that's what was really behind these 87,000 new IRS agents, because God knows the government's not going to look around and tighten their belts. They're just going to come leech off of us some more.
That's fair. Yeah, they don't have a plan to fix things, but they have a plan to absolutely crush and decimate the middle class. And this is something that you and I have been warning about by multiple years. I mean, how absolutely absurd that they come out in 2021 with something called the American Rescue Plan. And in it, they say if you do a $600 payment on Venmo or PayPal, or you sell something on eBay and cumulatively, it's showing $600 worth of transactions, that's now going to have to run through the IRS. This is not going after billionaires. This is not going after the ultra wealthy that are doing $600 Venmo payments. This is going after average Americans. And let's say you threw a party and a bunch of people paid you back, and that was more than $600. Now, if you don't report that because you didn't need to, then they may say, well, we saw, based on your 99K that you owe us money. Then you have to go hire an accountant or a lawyer to fight this. And it's going to end up being more than the penalty. And so you're just going to pay it. So they're going to nickel and dime the American public at a time, by the way, that Joe Biden is running around touting how they want to get rid of junk fees. Well, what about the junk taxes that they're throwing on average Americans after they have completely decimated their financial standing and their personal balance sheets? It is absolutely disgusting. And as you said, it's highly intentional.